Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company. If it's been 3.5 hours since you last ate protein and now you're starting to freak out, you are old school. If watching someone sit on a hammer machine for 5 minutes between sets playing with their phone pisses you off, you are definitely old school. OSBBC.com for the hardest training athletes.
I haven't seen the sun in a week and a half. Hey, look! It just came out! Hey, look at that!
I love it!
Welcome back to another episode of After Hours. I am Dave Palumbo, and we are joined once again by the entire Whack Pack. John Romano, Gregg Valentino, and of course Mr. G. Jimmy the Bull, I'm sure, will be joining us from some remote location later on. George, you're getting shredded. This fight training for this hopefully fight that will take place between you and Big Lenny is
it's definitely taking place. It's just, I mean, really, what I want to do is actually have it at the expo.
Let me just ask you a question first of all. I don't think, even if you have the fight with Lenny, you're probably going to demolish him in 3 seconds. Would you consider getting into doing another fight, like a real fight after that, or no?
What do you mean by real?
Fighting a real competitor over. I'm sure they got over 60 guys like in MMA, right?
No, they don't.
No, you're the only one. How about Chuck Zito? Would you fight him?
Chuck?
Yeah.
I know Chuck. It's kind of hard to fight. I mean, I don't really. I mean, I met him a couple times.
I would fight Weinberger.
Because remember, Chuck was trying to find someone there was no one he could fight. He was going to fight like some 30-year-old guy or something like that.
My brother, because he can beat 30-year-olds.
Yeah, right.
How about you fight his brother? How about you fight Bobby?
Bobby's the one. Steve Weinberger boxes all the time.
Maybe you can fight Steve.
Yeah, he told Steve,
you fight Weinberger.
Steve wants to fight. If we put a cage in there. Just think about just the optics.
Steve's very competitive, though. You might, someone's would get hurt probably. So I don't think that that's probably not a good idea. You kind of fight someone you don't like because you don't want to you're not going to want to hurt someone that you like. You know what I mean?
No, I mean that's why guys.
What
that's
about
why
one of those?
fight.
I got it, Dave. What about one of those guys? The guys that from YouTube. There's these YouTube guys. They're in bodybuilding. One that's
Jake Paul.
Who's that?
Jake Paul?
No. He won't fight. He would never fight. He's he'd want to fight for somebody who's gonna make millions off.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
No. What's that guy, Campbell guy or whatever? That if they all hate, there's some guy.
Campbell.
Yeah, what's the name?
That's the guy with Lenny. That's the guy. Don't you remember Bobby Riggs? Yeah. Bobby Riggs played in tennis.
Yeah, Billie Jean King.
It was an age thing. I'm 63. So
I think Mr. G should fight your daughter, Greg.
No,
This is what we should do. Let's get some of these old timer guys, who are about the same age as Mr. G.
Why not another YouTuber?
Fighting Lenny. Hold on, Dave. It's Lenny.
I'm looking past the Lenny fight already. I think the Lenny fight is going to be a quickie. That's your warm-up. Have you guys
talked to Lenny at all? Is this still on? I mean,
he talks. I watch him. I watch him on his other show to see what he's doing.
Isn't he in jail? Isn't he in jail? Doesn't he get arrested?
No, he didn't. He probably got arrested, but he's not in jail.
Lenny has his own show called the Lenny
Big Lenny Show.
Lenny Show.
Yeah.
So he's with Rob Zilla. So I was gonna have Rob Zilla have the Pitbull, Rick the Pitbull, who's doing the biking for the vets suffering from post-traumatic stress. Have him have a double card. Have Rob Zilla fight him because I think these guys talk about how they fight all the time.
Ricky False will destroy. There's a lot. I wouldn't want to fight Ricky. Ricky's a younger version of you, Mr. G. He's been fighting his whole life, though.
Oh, he's
Who's this guy? Who are you talking about? Ricky who?
Ricky's actually the guy we had on the show 2 weeks ago. Ricky's actually in Fort Myers somewhere, I think.
He's had like 1,000 fights. He's had like 1,000 fights, and he went to Thailand and fought in Thailand. You know what his nickname in Thailand was? The White Tyson. Because in Thailand,
the guy that cut the trees down and maybe even
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a savage. In Thailand, the guys, they smoke pot and they drink when they fight.
He's riding. Greg, I don't know if you were you on the show when he was on 2 weeks ago. He's riding his bike from Louisiana to the Florida Keys.
That guy, yes, I remember.
That's the show I was absent.
Oh, that was the one you missed, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Yeah, I remember him.
He's in Fort Myers
He's
now
a nice
somewhere.
kid.
Did he call you, Tyler?
If he did, I missed the call.
Oh, because he said he was going to call you because he wanted you to film him.
Yeah, his
doing
friend
something.
died. His friend committed suicide, gave up on life. I mean, this is what's happening with the vets. They're getting they come back and they go to the VA and they send them to some psychiatrist, that wants to just put them on drugs.
Right.
20 a day, Georgie. 20 a day commit suicide.
Yeah, I've already developed the program with a vet who contacted me 12 weeks ago, all right, who was on the edge, and I got him off of everything, and he's back better than ever.
Yeah,
The protocol is what we're doing.
I don't mean to
working
interrupt
out.
you, George, but I got to just tell you, I figured out who you look like. You ever see the movie Heartbreak Ridge with Clint Eastwood, where he plays the Marine sergeant?
Yeah.
That's who Mr. G
Johnny
looks
Highway.
like.
Johnny Highway.
Yeah.
That was his name.
Yep, that's what
Johnny
Georgie
Highway.
looks like.
Maybe Tyler could pull up the thing from Heartbreak Ridge, Clint Eastwood.
Highway?
Just Clint Eastwood, Heartbreak Ridge.
Gunnery Sergeant Highway.
Yeah.
You got to see my T-shirts that my partner designed for the fight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it says, "I gotta fight me if you must, but I am old for a reason." Mr. G, the Fighting Irishman.
Yeah, that's fine. I use that line all the
How's
time.
that for a memory, Tyler? Right? He looks just like him. You got to get him in the army.
It's a picture with Irish warrior with a
Well,
big
see if this
red
is like
cross.
one with him actually in a shirt, like Mr. G's got.
Look, I mean, the goal here was to challenge Lenny.
There it is, right there at the bottom.
He
right
did
there.
something that wasn't
No,
really
go,
nice.
Right there in the shirt, T-shirt. There.
What?
I'm trying to pull the picture of Clint Eastwood up with you from Heartbreak Ridge. He looks. Yeah, I think you got the same shirt as him on.
Dave is totally uninterested in anything anybody's saying right now.
Yeah.
Because I get these visuals in my head, and I got
Dave's
kind of clear it out.
That's what makes it so crazy. We're all in
We're in our own world. Yeah, exactly.
Dave's doing his own show. Over
The
here.
geriatric show.
I'm talking to Tyler.
Dave's the youngest one.
That's right. That's right.
Dave's the baby. We're all 60.
I know. God, can you imagine that?
Dude, how did we become 60?
I don't know, man. I don't even think about it. I think I'm 20. I'm rolling.
Me
John,
too.
Isn't there a bodybuilder who's doing jiu-jitsu training now who was like a good bodybuilder back in the day? I'm trying to think of who it was I just was talking to.
Mike O'Hearn.
No, but Mike's too young still. There's a guy in his like Mr. G's age who's doing MMA. I can't remember who it was. I thought I interviewed him or so. I talked to someone recently who was telling me that to do it, and I was like, "You doing MMA now?"
Too many people.
He's like, "Yeah."
What about my girl, Thug Rose? I love that bitch.
Gross.
Did you see her?
Dave,
Hug
it's a
Rose.
heavy pounding on
Did
the
you see
body.
her? Thug Rose? Rose Nagamas? I can't
Put her
say her
up.
last name. You know, she just knocked out that girl the other night in the UFC.
I don't watch that stuff.
Oh.
Oh, the UFC was great. They had China.
that?
They had the Chinese.
If I'm going to watch two girls fighting, they're going to have to be wearing lingerie.
I'll tell you what, Thug Rose is fucking, that's a bad girl.
Let me ask you
She's
guys
the
a real
sweetest
question
thing.
about this. Would you have a problem dating a girl who fights? You know, like who's like a profession. She's a professional, like, you know, MMA fighter.
No, you mean if she could kick your ass?
No, I'm not worried
legit?
about. No, because I'm just saying. Would you have a problem dating that? I mean, it's a weird.
No,
like,
never.
Okay.
I love athletic girls. Let me tell you something. I just wouldn't date a female sumo wrestler. But let me just tell you, fucking,
Don't discriminate.
I find that anything overweight is just gross.
He just doesn't like a big butt. He likes a skinny butt.
Let me tell you something. If you ever watch like UFC fighters like that, there's a video on YouTube like the fails, epic fails, and they show this dude getting in another guy's face like this, and he's a fucking asshole. I can't remember his name, right? And
Like Mayweather?
No. And he winds up losing. He winds up losing to the guy. That guy was an actual wife beater, and he went home and he beat his wife, but his wife did MMA, and she knocked him out and put him in the hospital.
Oh, really?
So the same guy who acted all thuggy fucking was beating his wife, and then she caught him with a good one and put him in a fucking hold, and fucking I think she broke his arm and everything.
No, you get what you deserve.
Dude, there's tons of videos of girls taking out bodybuilders.
No, I'm not even, Greg, I'm not even talking about from a perspective if you can get beat up by your girl. I'm talking about because it's a brutal sport. I mean, would you want your wife or girlfriend or whatever, the mother of your children?
Why not?
I'm just
What's
asking.
the difference?
All right, so you gave me your answer. I want to ask John and Mr. G if that would bother
John
you.
would if she was hot.
Greg answered for me.
Okay, you're fine. No,
If she's hot, what do you care? It doesn't matter if she plays fucking badminton.
how many really hot girls though, do MMA?
Oh, there's some cuties.
I'm not talking about the ones who just do it for the workout. I'm talking about the people who are like at the elite level where they're busting noses and stuff like that.
You ever see Paige Van Zandt? Even Rose, Doug Rose, when she puts makeup on, she's a cutie. But what about Paige Van Zandt, man?
Wait, when she puts makeup on.
Yeah, that's the question.
Well, no, she's got a really nice
But Greg,
face.
you've been on the record that you like women that have like a little boy's butt too. So
I do.
you might not be a good person to answer this question.
I like it.
Greg and I have agreed on that for decades.
Dude, Jamie Easton, I'd make a meal out of Jamie Easton's ass.
How about the one that just shaved? There's a girl that just shaved her head because everyone was saying she's so beautiful, so she didn't want to, she wanted to distract you. She actually shaved the hair
You're
off.
talking about Thug Rose, right?
Yes.
She's got a crew cut.
I don't know if I want to date a girl with the first name Thug. I don't know. It just doesn't do it.
Well,
for me.
no. That's what they call her.
I
You know
know,
why
Greg.
they call her
I
that?
know.
Because she's so sweet looking. She's so petite and sweet looking, and she's so nice.
Yeah.
You could never picture that girl hurting anybody, and she beats up the baddest bitches. Like, if you met her, if she walked in there, Dave, she'd be like, hi, real sweet, and you'd be like, this girl right here.
Until she sees
And
you
that's why
talking to some girl at a bodybuilding show and you come home and she freaking knocks you unconscious. And then you won't think she's so sweet,
Even those big bodybuilding chicks, you see some of them like, hey, how are you? She'll fucking knock them in the fuck out.
Right.
She's bad. She's the champion of the world.
I know. I'm saying, you wouldn't have a problem dating a girl like that then?
No, man.
No,
I'd want her to beat my ass a little bit.
Yeah.
They're built like fitness girls. The physiques are like fitness girls, or like the girls that do routines.
But there's a certain mentality there, about the fighting mentality. Like there's got to.
Yeah, but they're regular girl.
To be a good fighter, let me just.
As long as she's fighting other girls that are actually girls.
Yeah.
Then
Wait,
I
can I
have no
say
problem.
something? Can I say something? No. I think all three of us would agree against Dave that if there was a fight between Amanda and Dave, my money's on Amanda.
Oh, I'd give it to her. I'd give it to her too. Yeah, I'd definitely give it to her. She's a lot younger than me.
Her,
yeah. No, my point.
If you pissed her the fuck off, I think you'd lose.
Well, Dave can't raise his show. Dave has a hard time with his shows. If you have a
Not
hard time
anymore.
with,
I got new ones now, George. I got new ones. I'm good. I can do the Ronnie Coleman.
George, you're making
Dave, that's incredible. You can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do it. No, Amanda, look, no.
Like this.
I used to be like this. I used to do everything with my traps.
He used to hold his hands like this. You used to have to raise them up like the other hands.
Because if you grabbed my hand when I was shaking, I'd go to my knees. That's how much pain I was in.
No, now we could. Hey, John, now we could go like this. No, Amanda, no.
Don't shoot. I give up. I used to seriously. I used to go through that machine in the airport where you had to put your hands up like this. I couldn't do it. I'd be like this, and they'd be like, "Can you raise your hands?" I'm like, I really can't raise my hands any more than this. I said, it's very painful.
Did they think you were fucking with him?
I don't know. I used to just, I used to just tell them, forget about it. Just pat me down. I don't care.
Dave, the best was I was with Ben Weeder.
Yeah.
We were gabbing. Dude, he's so smart. That guy was so because he's a history buff, and nobody knows this, but he wrote books on Benedict Arnold and all this shit. And he was like not Benedict Arnold, Jesus Christ, Napoleon Bonaparte. And he was a genius with that shit. So him and I used to talk, and I walked with him. I was with him in the airport, and they let me go, and they stopped him, and they had him in a glass booth. You know what I mean? And he was like it was before he died. He was like 90 years old. And I'm like,
and they let you go. Yeah, they let you go.
They let me go, and they had him in a glass booth, and they're going all over him and everything. And I was saying shit to them, and he's like, no, just don't worry about it, let him do it. But I'm like, holy shit, dude, he's fucking 90 years old, you know?
Why were you going through an airport with Ben Weider anyway?
Oh, I got pictures there. He's a good guy.
I'm not saying why. I'm saying how did you wind up in an airport at the same time as Ben Weider going through security?
Because I knew him. I saw him. We didn't go together.
Did you coordinate? Did he text you and say, "Greg, I'm at the airport. Meet me out front"? I mean, is that how you guys went through together?
No, I got his cell phone number right in here still.
I'm saying, but is that how you guys coordinated?
When he saw me in the airport. He said, we sat together. We actually had a little bite to eat, and we were talking history and shit. Right. Because I find he was so interesting. You have no idea. We didn't even talk about bodybuilding one moment.
He figured out that Napoleon Bonaparte was poison.
And that was his thing. Yeah, you're right.
He proved it.
But he was a historian with he was just a historian with everything. But nobody knows that he was a Napoleon Bonaparte. He wrote books about Napoleon Bonaparte.
He was the president of the association. He was like he was a giant part of the Napoleon.
Well, that's why I was great.
He had Napoleon's christening gown. He actually had the
maybe that's why he likes me. Because I reminded him, because I'm short, and you know what I mean? I have that complex.
I think he thought you were.
I walked through the airport like this.
I think he thought you were Napoleon, actually, at the end of his life.
Maybe
he thought Rob Smalley knew his father, right?
You thought I was Hulk Hogan. Remember when I was interviewing him?
I do. I was there. I was with your brother Bobby when he had no fucking shoes on.
Oh, my brother.
Hey, I got pictures of that, George. George, I got pictures of that. Your brother's
in Ohio.
Shit.
Yeah,
my shoes on in the lobby.
Yeah. We talk so much about Mr. G's brother Bobby. We ought to get him on the show.
Yeah, how come he doesn't join us here on the show?
I know.
I'll get him on.
All right.
I love Bobby. He's some personality.
Hysterical.
Well, I used to see his brother all the time when I was in New York. He would come by the studio.
He used to keep trying to fix Max up with his daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we went on a couple of dates together.
I didn't even know that. You guys kept that a secret.
What's your niece's name again? I forgot.
Hannah. She's doing tanning. So she's going to college in there's a community. She's going to go to Arizona State, I think. But she's doing all the tanning stuff.
Really?
Did she become a model?
No, well, her mom puts pictures. I mean, I don't know if my brother wants. Well, whatever she wants to do, she can do. But I don't think.
I think it's Mr. G's.
She wants to pursue that anymore.
Would she be one of the ring girls with you and?
Well, you know, when Rob's kids were babies, they were on like the Gerber, right? They were on Huggies and stuff like that, and Pamper boxes.
Yeah, they gotta want to do it. You know what I mean? Well, now Instagram. They don't even have to do it. They don't even have to go anywhere. You got girls on Instagram that have millions of people following them.
Yeah, you're right.
This is the game changer in advertising. The bodybuilders, these guys have millions of followers. If they know how to work it, it's now you have your audience right there. They could never have an audience like that. You'd have to do commercials, spend millions of dollars on commercials.
You know what's funny though? I agree with PJ Braun brought up a really good point once. He said it's not the millions of followers they have; it's the ones who are active. Do you know what I'm saying? Well, there's people that have there's people that have. I'm not going to say it, but a company I used to work for. Yeah, and no, not Muscular Development, so don't go there. But it was another one after that. You could think about who it was. And they used to sponsor you, Dave. And they had like 1 million followers on Facebook and YouTube. And then when they put a fucking video out or a post out, they get 5 or 6 people to like it. And the videos don't even get 100 views. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's engagement is what.
Yes, right.
Plus,
Exactly.
he also the
engagement.
guy that was running it for him also told me that they bought a lot of the followers, which happens with a lot of people too.
Yep, you buy likes.
Didn't Liz do that, John?
Yep.
I don't want to say her name. You know who I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm not
she
getting in the
did?
middle of them. I'm done talking shit about people.
You got to interact with when people say they like, when people make a comment, you have to answer the comments back. That's what I was telling all these fighters coming up, these young fighters. I go, you just can't put a post and people send comments and you guys don't answer any of the people back. A guy like Lee Priest, he answers every single person back. Every one of them back, whether it's good or bad.
I answer a lot of people back too.
Yeah.
But you know, it's very hard because even, like with the haters, anybody could make up a fucking screen name and hide behind a screen name.
Yeah, well, that's what they did with me.
When I'm out there or you guys are out there, they know who you are. You know, John, you're posting under John Romano. You know, George, you're Mr. G with the cookies. Everybody knows who you are. I'm Greg Valentino. Even
No,
Dave.
you're Joe Beans.
Yeah, I'm Joe. No, that's only on my No, but when you go on there, that's my personal friends page. You know what I mean? Like I know all the people on it. A lot of high school kids I went to high school with are on that. But the thing is, because I'm trying to keep it separate. I do have the other Gregg Valentino page as well.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Plus, you see on there, it shows a picture of me on fucking. It says Gregg Valentino and it shows me with Tyra Banks. But the thing is that when these guys come on there and they're like Venom 1, 2, 3, and then they start talking shit and all this other shit, I fucking hate that.
Piss Trooper.
Because you know who I am, though. But if you know who I am, and then you start making threats and saying fucked up shit, I'm like, dude, you're a coward. Come here. Come here who you are. Say your name. Come here is your name. You know who you're talking to, but I don't know,
That was Derek Anthony's downfall. right there.
Yeah, he fought with everybody.
That's what killed him.
They fought with everybody.
If he was alive now with Instagram, he would have been the king.
He would have 5 million followers.
Yeah. That's exactly, and he would have been able to sell. Now he would have been able to. He wouldn't even have. The companies would have to really cow to him instead of the reverse.
Yep.
Now you know what's funny? He would have gotten thrown off.
Yeah, he would have been. He would have been in timeout.
He would have told some guy, "I'll come to your house. I'll fucking kill you," and they would have said, "Up, you're promoting violence. You're off."
Yeah, he probably would have died sooner on Instagram.
He was the
I
first,
just,
but you know
I
what?
just
He was the
believe-
first.
I just believed him.
Derek was the first guy to actually sit in front of a computer and talk to the actual fans. Hey, it's the big DA here. Fuck all you guys who are haters. I don't give a shit. I got scotch. I got money. I got cars. You're just jealous of me. He would just go for like 20 minutes, and I'm like, who the heck is gonna watch this? And that's what YouTube has evolved into, basically, if you think about it.
And he had all the tattoos before Rich Piana.
Yeah, he really was the precursor to Rich Piana. Rich Piana might have actually taken a page out of Derek Anthony's book.
Well, yeah, these guys. I mean, all these guys looked at stuff. I mean, we were sort of like the guinea pigs.
No one sat in front of a webcam and did that. He was the first person that I know of that did it, right, John?
Yeah, he was.
Well, I'm the one that hooked him up with that. I told you. He asked me. And then I hooked him up with that fucking place over there. I
got the 4 stars car wash, and I got the
pizzeria.
Yeah.
No, the best was he
Luigi's Pizzeria, and he had all
the car wash. He had the car wash.
Day and night cleaners. Place, he had
tanning place.
Yeah, like a wise guy.
Yeah.
Listen, he called me up.
The Bada Bing strip
Greg,
club, ladies, gentlemen's club.
He wanted me to put this thing in a magazine of him and his girl, and he's saying he proposed to her and was getting married to her. Do you remember that, Coach?
Oh, the one from Georgia?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
My God. Yeah, Rick Collins had to get involved in that one.
She was a piece of ass. I put it in muscular development. I put it in there, and I put a picture of him, and I put a picture of her. Oh, my God. Then a fucking month or so later, he was like, yo, fuck that, we're broke up. There's a big problem for me. And I'm like, dude, you asked me to put you in the magazine. He's fucking crazy.
Remember the whole thing with the ring? She didn't want to give the ring back?
Oh, that's right.
Yes. Remember? Yes, that's why he was calling me up. He was like, "Oh fuck!" I said, "It's too late, dude. It's in there already." You know what I mean?
No, he had to get Rick Collins helped him out. He had to get the ring. He got the
He
ring.
got
back.
the ring back. He got the ring.
Yeah, he got it back.
Derek was
I know,
hysterical
but there was
because
a war going on with him and her. When he
yeah.
called me, "I'm in love, bro. I'm marrying this girl."
Oh yeah, he bought him the ring, and then he wanted the ring back. Remember, he was like, "Should I get the ring back?"
Dude, she was a piece of ass too. Not for nothing.
Hey Dave, you get a picture of Derek. Put a picture of Derek up.
Get Derek Anthony up there. Derek, used to go to Mirage, like nightclub by my house with him. We'd hang out there, and like some guy, and Derek would be like bitching and complaining. These fucking guys, they think I'm gay. Fuck them. Listen, I'm gonna come over here in 10 minutes. I'm like maybe talking to someone, and I'm like, all right, whatever. 10 minutes, he'll come over. All right, follow me, and I gotta follow him to the bar. He's like, all right. See this camera? This is when we had like the throwaway cameras. He's like, take a picture of me. I said, take a picture, you doing what? He said, just take the picture, just a second. So, yeah, that's him. So, gives me the camera, and there's a girl at the bar. He goes, all right. And he turns around and he kisses her. And he's like, and I have to snap the picture. And then he just like throws her aside. And he's like, all right, let's go. I said, what was that about? He goes, fuck these haters. I'll put this picture up. Like he just wanted to show that he was making out with this girl, some random girl,
He hated that gay shit, but
I
that's
know.
because he did that fucking posing a few times, and those guys would take pictures and then put it on the internet, if you remember correctly.
Right.
Well, remember that shower thing he did in the shower?
He would do anything for money, Derek. He didn't care.
Yeah. But it came back to bite him in the ass.
Yep.
Well, other than sleeping with them, I mean, he wouldn't do sexual acts.
No, but he
would pose for guys.
Right, but he
would
got
put on little skivvies and shit like
right.
Jesus.
He didn't like when people would throw it back in his face, though. That was the problem.
Right. So what they would watch behind, I guess.
Yeah, he was the originator of gay for pay.
You're right. He might have even coined the term.
No, actually, Derek forced some hater to come up with the term gay for pay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They wrote him for that. They
know what?
wrote him for that.
John, I think your computer speakers are too loud.
Whose?
We're getting an echo from yours, I think.
Mine?
Yeah. Mr. G, yours might be a little loud too, but I'm not sure.
How's that?
Better.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. So, Derek was a character. I spent a lot of time with Derek, and
The guy's 28 years old. I can't believe so young.
30.
31 he died at.
You know what the craziest shit was? He was texting and tweeting fucking like hours before he died from his hospital bed.
Yeah.
Not tweeting, posting Facebook things and shit.
That's why I thought he was all right. I said I just texted him.
Yup.
There's nothing worse than seeing someone like self-destroy themselves, and that was why I think we all had a problem. That's why, really, John, if you think about it, we kind of really were not really, working with Derek anymore. We kind of really dissociated with him because he was acting so crazy, and like I think we saw the self-destructiveness in it, and I didn't want to be a part of it because he didn't want to listen to anything we had to say. He was taking everything very personal.
You know what it was, Dave? When his kidneys were dying, when he had he had to like go off of steroids and like shit, he didn't want to go off, and he would still do shit and overdo Synthol and everything like that.
Yeah.
And it just, he went from having a great physique. He didn't want to lose that physique. You know what I mean?
He was using Synthol when he was sick, but right to the end, he was.
That's what I'm
using it.
saying.
Yeah.
Why did that contribute to his death? How did he actually?
No, but it just showed you his mindset that, because he, obviously when your body's breaking down and you're on dialysis and all this other shit, you ain't gonna look the way you look when you were fucking jacked on steroids. So he couldn't take the fact that he was shrinking, so he would try to compensate for that, but he was going nuts with that shit, and he started getting all
And more
crazy.
tattoos. More tattoos.
More tattoos, right.
Yeah.
So he was trying to compensate for it, feeling like nobody likes to look, lose what they used to look like, you know what I mean?
And especially him, because he was like a freaking Ken doll.
I tell people all the time, people ask me about Dave. I tell them, I've seen Dave at 325 pounds, and the man didn't have an ounce of fat on him. He looked like he was contest ready at 325 pounds. So they don't understand why Dave can't still look like that. And I say he can, but he wants to live for his children. You know, I mean, all these guys that want to stay big. It's. I mean,
Greg,
am I right or wrong?
Greg, I always say, I'm known for saying this. There are no 80-year-old 300-pounders walking around.
Me too. I say the same. You might find an 80-year-old guy that's in shape with little tiny 14, 15-inch muscular arms, but you're not going to see no 80-year-old with 20-inch cannons walking around jacked. It ain't happening.
You know what? You know what I tell people? I use this business model, or use this model of life. You know when you ever play dodgeball when you're in school?
Of course.
The guys who were out in front, throwing the ball and nailing people right when you start the game. They knock a lot of people out, but they always get hit, right? Because you're too out in the open. So I always used to play. I would hang back at first and watch these guys knock each other out a lot, and I would come from behind and nail people. But I always was very conscious of where I was. So I wanted to know who was behind me. I never wanted anyone behind me. So it's the same thing with life. You know, you have to you have to know when to strike and then when to come back and retreat a little bit. And if you don't do that, you wind up getting knocked out. And knocked out in life is you die, you know. So I think that, you know, at some point you have to say to yourself, okay, you know what, I had a good run. Let's not push it too much. And let's, you know, I'm this age. I have maybe my blood pressure's a little higher than I want. You know, my blood work is not perfect. Now I got to step back and I want to correct that, and you make the corrections. And as you get older, you keep making corrections so that you're always in the normal range of things, so that you don't wind up getting knocked out, so to speak. And I think a lot of people are afraid of that because it changes their identity. Their whole identity is the big guy. Hey, Big John, Big Joe, Big Mike. You know, if you can't live up to that moniker, then you have no person. You know, you basically are a loser in their mind. This is how people perceive that. And I say, recreate yourself. You know, if you've already established yourself as like I did, in the sense that I was one of the biggest guys and one of the hardest guys, and people respected that. And now I don't have anything to prove. I can't be bigger and better than I was. So why would I try to be bigger?
You'll
and better
die
than I was?
doing that.
Right. So you got to take a different approach. And I mean, you did the same thing. I mean, you were a big freaky guy, you know, back in the day. And and you said, you know what? Okay, enough. You know, I want to train now because I love to train, and I want to, you know, be healthy, and I eat good, and you know, you don't drink or smoke, and that's all you can do. You're 60 years old. I mean, for you to say I want to come back to the stage and compete against, you know, Phil Heath or Sean Roden. I mean, that's ridiculous at this point. I mean, right? I mean, come on.
Right. Exactly.
You want to recreate yourself into a new mission, new set of goals.
Right.
But you know what's funny, Dave? I just did a show, on old school bodybuilding, because that's what with Joe Pitaro, that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
But and I just talked about in the old days, you guys could attest to this. In the old days, back in like the 70s and everything, we didn't even know about drugs because you knew that they were around a little bit, but you didn't know to what extent, because, muscle and fitness didn't want to talk about that shit. Back then it was muscle builder, but nobody wanted to talk about drugs. We don't wanted bodybuilding to go into the Olympics, so nobody talked about drugs. You know what I mean? But we were so into training. I used to fucking go in between, like I'd be working in school, and all of a sudden I'd ask the teacher, could I use the bathroom? And they'd be like, sure, go ahead. I'd go in the bathroom and I'd be doing dips between the sink and do pull-ups on the fucking stall and shit, I used to do things like that because I love training so much. And I think the old school guys today, you get a guy who starts to train. You guys can't tell me that this is never happening. You get a guy who's been training 2 weeks and they're already looking for, hey, what can I take? Like, I want to start getting bigger. Like, where could I get like steroids and shit? What should I take? And I'm like, dude, you got to be out of your fucking mind. You know what I mean? Like, when I was young, I didn't even think about anything like that. I didn't even know about it really because I grew up here. But I'm just saying, we were into training. I was obsessed with working out and just a whole love of muscles and being built.
And concerned about your waistline too. Guys used to like Steve Mahalik used to tuck everyone used to want to tuck their shirt in, and still have a small waist but a big, big.
You know
V.
what though? I have to say I'm almost glad that I wasn't exposed to anabolic steroids in high school, or even given the option of doing them, or knew anyone who did them, because I probably would have possibly, succumbed to them if I knew I could be a better athlete and more muscular and faster, I might have tried them. I don't know. It was good that I was naive, and I was kind of emotionally retarded in the sense that I did sports, but I was kind of naive to what was going on around me. I didn't even know guys who were smoking pot in school. So that was good because it kind of saved me and kept me away from that type of behavior,
Oh, Chris,
I would have definitely done them. I would have sold them.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. To pay for them, exactly.
But the thing is, Dave, you come from a different era, though. Like John, me, and Georgie, we're from this. We started working out in the 70s, and bodybuilders didn't talk about that. Was a hush subject. When did you ever see a Weider article talk anything about that? You believe that Weider protein was the way to go. You believe that's what made Arnold jacked. They made him purposely because of that. Yeah,
that was the business packs. That was the business model. Animal packs came way later, Georgie.
Yeah.
That was the business model. That was Weider wanted you to believe that it was his principles, his machines, his weights, his supplements, and his magazine that was going to give you the body of your dreams.
And we believed it.
Drugs, yeah, of course, people believed it. And then the most jacked guys were the models to.
But you had Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, "This is what I did. I took this Weider approach." I mean, you believe that.
You know what, though?
But they did not want bodybuilding to they wanted bodybuilding in the Olympics. That was the Weider dream. Get bodybuilding in the Olympics.
It was probably,
so they figured if steroids would have stopped that.
It was a pure intent, and I think it was great. It would have been great, but it was really kind of the Weiders knew what was going on. They knew guys were doing drugs. I know Aceto said that Joe was kind of naive to it, but I don't believe that.
No. I was up there. I was up there in the Weider office. I'm waiting to go in. There's a shelf up on the wall, and his little cards of drugs tied up with a rubber band, boxes of stuff to inject tied up with a rubber band. One of them said "For Berto," So I mean,
So my point is, it was really naive to believe that they would ever be able to get into the Olympics, because they knew the Olympics drug tested. So I don't know why.
That's why, though. But if they had their magazine, which is their journal, right, and they had that shit. If they advertised, bodybuilding, let's keep doing drug articles, nobody would have fucking bought that magazine.
No, they would have bought the magazine. No one would have let them in the Olympics.
No, I didn't mean that nobody would have bought.
They should have just said, you know what? No one's letting us in the Olympics anyway. Let's just be who we are. That's what they should. But
even none of the magazines. The first one I saw that actually talked about drugs was Muscle Digest. You know what I mean? Even Kennedy's magazine. None of them talked about drugs at first. They didn't want that. They wanted bodybuilding, a chance. They believed in their brains that bodybuilding could someday be Olympic sport. So if we advertise that these guys all look like this because they're drug addicts, they didn't want that.
Yeah, but the crazy thing, Greg, was this parallel universe going on. We
knew
all the bodybuilders over here going, "Fuck the Olympics. We're not getting in the Olympics. Just keep doing juice and getting big and competing." And then because aging aristocrats care about where the money comes from, because at a cocktail party, Ben wants to be able to say, bodybuilding's in the Olympics. I preside over an Olympics.
Well, it would have been a legacy left behind that he got him in the Olympics. But you know what the truth is, John? I mean.
But let me finish.
Yeah.
So, because I wrote about this extensively during this time in MD. You got Ben over here talking about the drug testing program and the protocols in place. He even had a letter from Prince Alexandre de Merode, from Spain, who was the head of the drug testing policy of the Olympics, and he wrote a letter to Ben in way back in the 90s, and he said he was most impressed with Ben's, with the IFBB's drug testing protocol. Ben quoted that letter. Remember those speeches he used to give before every show?
Yeah, no one ever listened to. Yeah,
Arnold Classic, before the Olympia. Yeah. He quoted that letter like 19 different shows. that Prince Alexander de Merode is most impressed with, and I keep hearing him say it. Most impressed with the drug.
I actually felt bad when he would give those speeches because no one listened.
It was cringeworthy because you're sitting, you're cringing in your seat. And he's talking about it's imminent, it's gonna happen. We're gonna get in the Olympics, and everybody's backstage passing out from diuretics, and
why do you
they
think?
figured though that the underworld, like us bodybuilders, we knew what was going on. But the outside people, if you started putting that in the magazines and advertise that these guys were all drug addicts, you know what I mean? Basically,
why do you think though that they stopped drug testing? Because they did drug test in 1990. I mean, the Olympia.
They gave up because they looked like shit.
Is that why though?
Why did they stop? The only reason why they started was because when Arnold helped fucking push George Bush Sr. to put in that whole fucking, Arnold was a rat. You got to remember that shit. He started pushing all that, no more steroids are bad, and all that bullshit. Nobody understands that, but Arnold lobbied against that shit. And then in like 1990, 91, they even went after the WWE. Back then the WWF. Remember all those guys that they were talking about. The government was talking about shutting down the World Wrestling and everything.
Yeah, but that's not why. To answer Dave's question, the reason why they stopped testing. Remember Jay Cutler sued.
That was much later, John. Much later.
That was when they.
I think they stopped testing.
No, I'm not talking about the diuretic testing in 1990.
That was
no. In 1990, they actually steroid tested. That in the late 90s, after the Momo and Andreas Munzer died, then they started diuretic testing. That was separate. Forget that. I'm talking about in 1990 when they did that Olympia. Haney looked terrible. Lee Labrada almost beat him. Remember?
Didn't Sean Rage get disqualified from the?
That was a different. But he failed the drug test at the Arnold Classic and lost his prize.
When was that?
Yeah.
That was 90.
Yeah, this was 1990. Because remember, the Control Act, the Steroid Control Act, was passed in 1990.
Yeah, but Lee Haney was actually natural because he was paranoid that they were gonna, that if he was taking shit,
he probably was the only one.
Lee Haney weighed like 220 on that show.
Yeah.
Or under 220.
My point is, why did the Weeders abandon that drug testing?
Because the government went on a fucking tear about that at first. You know what I mean? Drug went after the WWE, WWF, excuse me. And then, into bodybuilding, because Arnold pushed him that way. And, there was a lot of talk. Arnold didn't want to see Lee Haney break his record, all this other shit. You remember that, John, right?
But do you think...
But it only lasted 1 year.
Because I think then it died down. They appeased everybody. Even what's his name? The fucking over there from the WWF, he put it,
Vince McMahon.
But you know what? Look,
McMahon put a few penalties on some guys.
In 92,
he failed the drug test.
In 92, they drug tested the WBF guys, which was Vince McMahon's bodybuilding organization, and they looked terrible, except like Stridham or something like that, who probably never got drug tested. But the point is that they drug tested that. Is that when the Weeders said, you know what, here's our chance to pass them, and they stopped the testing? Is that why they did it, you think?
No, I think it's just that I think the government started focusing on other things.
Greg, that wasn't until way later. That wasn't until way later that the government started focusing on other things. They were on a mad tear for 10 years after steroids, after 19.
No, that was more towards the baseball, when the baseball.
Oh, but they had Taylor Hooten. Remember the whole Hooten kid?
Yeah, but that wasn't 1992. That was late.
That was much later, John.
Was like
that's what I'm saying.
99.
That's what it was. It was way later. So this was going on.
This is why I think
the Taylor Hooten thing was a resurrection of that, because the father couldn't understand why his kid killed himself and blamed steroids.
Yeah.
Didn't blame the fact that him and his mother were having shots of fucking Jack Daniels when he was 15 years old.
I think it was on Lexapro. He was on an antidepressant that causes suicide. He was on an Lexapro.
Yeah. Lexapro. Yeah, I think what happened was that Vince McMahon started his WBF. He stole a lot of athletes from the IFBB. Ben and Joe were drug testing in 1990. A lot of guys were failing. The guys weren't looking as good. Then the government went after Vince, okay? And Vince had to start drug testing his guys. They looked terrible because Vince wasn't going to lose the WWF at that point. He not over a little bodybuilding organization.
But they were testing the WWF, not just the bodybuilding.
No, I know, but I'm just saying though he wasn't. I don't think Vince was too concerned about losing the bodybuilding organization. He wasn't going to lose his cash cow, which was the WWF. So I think what happened is the Weeders saw that as an opportunity for their athletes to surpass the WWF and put them to rest. And I think they stopped. That's why I think they stopped drug testing. Because if Ben really wanted to get it into the Olympics, he should have continued drug testing. Don't you think, John?
Yes, except for the fact that the drug-free app. Once you let the genie out of the bottle, you're not stopping back in.
Absolutely.
So the genie was let out of the bottle. The guys weren't stopping. They were going to get around it anyway. And the testing was expensive. And the promoters, D'Amelio, they didn't want to pay for it.
Well, yeah, but Joe and Ben didn't care if the promoters wanted to pay for it. Now, if they would have made them pay for it, they would have paid for it. At least they could have said to whoever the Olympic, who was that Olympic guy he was always quoting? Remember Ben was like real buddy with the vice president of the IOC or something like that? Or not the IOC. What?
Rafael Santos.
No, Rafael wasn't the Olympic guy.
It was Prince Alexander de Merode, the head of the drug testing policy.
But there was who was the head of the Olympic committee at the time? He was buddies with him too.
Yeah, who was that? The French guy.
He always quoted him. He was always mentioning his name.
Yeah. I can't think of it, but
Oscar State. No, I'm kidding. Listen, it doesn't matter. He stopped because it's just like if your mother came home and said, "Okay, new rules in this house. I want everybody. If you don't make your fucking bed, you're not going out." So you make your bed for like a week, and then all of a sudden she starts like.
But they could have. But Greg, if they wanted to get it in the Olympics, they could have kept going with it. There was no reason.
They knew though. Like John said, the cat was already out of bed.
No, but it doesn't matter. You know why?
Everybody knew.
But it doesn't matter. You don't think the Olympic athletes
use... It wasn't happening.
But you don't think the Olympic athletes use steroids? Of course they do.
They're not athletes.
No.
Wait, bodybuilding.
Olympic sports. The reason, look, it wasn't happening. Ben was standing up and he was making these speeches, show after show, year after year. 5 years went by, and it was like they're no closer today than they were 5 years ago.
You have to understand something. Bodybuilding is an art display. It's not. They're not athletes in the sense. There's no athletic performance on stage. You're gonna see a bodybuilder do a most muscular pose, stand back like this. Now hit a double bicep, hit an ab. On stage, that's not. They don't look at that. It's Olympic sports are about performance. Those are the most elite athletes. Plus, everybody knows that bodybuilders take steroids. So it
doesn't matter though, Greg. Everyone knows that Olympic athletes take steroids too. But if they don't get
it's
caught,
the only sport that you
pass
cannot.
the drug test, that's all they got to do is pass the drug test.
Thank
you.
Square dancing is an Olympic sport, for Christ's sake.
Hurling. How about hurling? With the guys,
Yeah, but wait a minute. This is the only sport where you cannot fucking even compete with at a level.
You can't compete at that level.
It's mandatory.
Everyone.
You want to be a bodybuilder? Anybody watching this? You want to be a bodybuilder? I don't care if you're natty and all your bullshit. You have to take steroids. You're never gonna get. Yeah, you can win some natural shows, but you're never gonna be in the Olympia or any of those places or on a pro level like that if you don't take drugs. Unfortunately, that's a tool for this sport. One of the tools to get you to where you need to be.
It's actually part of. It's more than a tool. It's part of the deal.
Right. It's part of your training and everything.
You have to know how to train. You have to know how to diet. You have to know how to dial in, and you have to know how to.
It's part of your arsenal.
Right.
It's part of your arsenal.
I always said
you will never compete. You'll never be standing next to some big on the Olympia stage like this. Okay, maybe back in the 1950s you could have done it, but not today.
My take on this, Greg, was back in the day and this is what they should have done. They shouldn't have tried to get bodybuilding in. They should have pushed for fitness. They would have got the fitness girls into the Olympics because now you can actually score something. It's like a gymnastics
100% agree.
And a physique round. If you could have gotten that in, that would have been their back door into the Olympics. Then they could have gotten the men in. And I think that that's where they made the mistake. Ben should have gone to get the women involved, the women fitness competitors as a sport in the Olympics, and then he could have sucked the rest of it in the back door once he got in there. That's how I would have
Listen,
done it.
I agree with the fitness women, but that not would have gotten them in. They knew that the men, it's bodybuilders are branded. Okay, is Michael Hearn natural or is he on steroids? That's the big debate. How could somebody look like that and not be on
Greg,
steroids?
these guys, you think Usain Bolt never used anabolic steroids? Come on.
I don't know if he did or not.
Oh, are you kidding me? Are you
fast.
kidding me? The guys ran faster than a racehorse. Come on.
Listen, maybe he did, but you don't
Of course he
understand.
did.
It's not a pre-
Of course he
It's not
did.
a prerequisite. It's listen.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's
Not
a
for-
prerequisite.
not for all-
Every
Yes, it is.
sport, Greg. For
The women
every
today,
sport.
hold on, Greg, for John. The women in the 100 meters run faster today than Jesse Owens ran.
Okay, but wait a minute though. Listen to what I'm trying to say. Bodybuilders wear it, and they don't just take. Oh yeah, he's on a little wind stroller or something like that. You know, Usain Bolt would still be the fastest motherfucker.
And
on
Ronnie
the planet.
Coleman would be the best Mr. Olympia too, but it doesn't matter.
No,
That's-
but he wouldn't look like Ronnie Coleman.
he would look like a Ronnie Coleman, not the Ronnie Coleman.
How much faster do you think Usain Bolt runs?
Fast,
because he
way
takes steroids?
faster. 1 second in
believe
100 meters is a lot, Greg. That's like
I don't believe it.
That's
The
like
training is
58
different
pounds
today.
of muscle on your body.
I agree that they might take steroids.
They definitely
but not to
Might.
the extent.
Might. No. Greg,
listen,
You know why the
what?
Jamaicans? Tell them why the Jamaicans, John,
here's
won all the
comparison.
Olympics.
Here's the comparison Greg is making. Greg, it's like Lee said. He goes, bodybuilding. It's like bodybuilding. It looks good, but it's fucking useless. All it is how you look. It's a pageant. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
so the athletic prowess of an Olympic athlete, a runner, a cyclist, a gymnast, whatever.
Thank you.
They're exhibiting athleticism. Okay.
Right.
But Greg, they're still using juice. But
I
the
know
thing
that.
is-
Wait, I'm not
But
saying.
you can offset the argument. You can offset the argument by stating talent. That the guy, she's a gymnast.
wait a minute.
She can do a double, this and flip or with a layout.
That's why I said
whatever.
put fitness in there.
They're
Right.
not on cycles like bodybuilders are. Bodybuilders are juice. Without juice, Usain Bolt, it's not like, oh, if you took the steroids away, he can't run. Did you ever see what some of these guys look like the minute they go off?
What would
You
happen
wouldn't
is
even know
the
they ever
gene,
even lifted
Greg,
weights.
the gene pool would be reduced, and you would be only have your gifted athletes who are in there just the way it
That's
should
true.
be, probably.
That's
I
true.
know
You wouldn't
that,
have.
but it's
I would not have been a very good bodybuilder without,
Oh.
steroids, and I would never be up there. But
Listen,
but Ronnie would
I
be up
know
there,
that.
and Haney would be up there, and Cedric McMillan would be up there, and Phil Heath, and you'd still have all your top fucking champions
Dude, listen,
up there.
I know that, but the thing is this. The thing is that, like John said it perfectly, it's a beauty pageant. There's nothing. They would be considered the worst athletes. You can't sit there, do a double bicep, most muscular, hit an ab, a latch spin, and then stand there for a second.
Why not? It would no, you wouldn't have that. It would
See,
become
to you, it's
the
exciting.
posing round would become more important, obviously, because they'd have to have
Oh,
scoring
geez,
credentials.
that's so exciting. It's nothing like seeing a guy fucking sprinting.
Well, then you don't have to watch it.
gymnast.
But not everyone likes every sport. Some people don't
I
like ice
understand
skating.
that.
I like to watch ice skating. It's pretty.
But Dave, you're married to a gymnast.
right. I love
She
to
will
watch
tell
gymnastics.
you. I mean, I love female and male gymnastics. I love it. I used to do gymnastics when I was young.
Right.
Okay, bodybuilding actually ruined that shit. But she will tell you that it's a different animal. People in Olympic sports, they look for shit like that. They're not going to look at who looks the best. Oh, his muscular development is so awesome. They don't see that.
Why
To
not?
The rest of the world,
they got
they don't
stupider
see-
way. They got ping pong for God's sakes in the Olympics. Who cares?
Right.
But ping pong.
They got
is not
jousting for God's sakes. Come on. I'm
Yes,
sure
but both of those
bodybuilding
sports
is way
are
more
athletic.
interesting than that, as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
They're athletic. Do you know how many
And the best
bodybuilders?
bodybuilders
George,
are athletic,
let me
Greg.
ask you a question.
Greg.
How many bodybuilders train and get jacked to compensate for the fact that
Hold
they
on.
were either fucking weirdos in high school or
Greg,
whatever? You know what I
what
mean?
if in bodybuilding for the Olympics they made a scoring round where they actually scored your routine like they should? Now Now it's just like doing a gymnastics routine or an ice skating routine or anything like that. They just had to quantify it. Bodybuilding was never quantified.
Well, wait a minute now. The old bodybuilding is a different story. Back in the days, people don't realize in the 40s and 30s, and guys had to do feats of strength to win a bodybuilding show. They would stand on their hand with one arm.
Right, but we're not gonna. That's not gonna go that far. But I'm saying
nobody's gonna sit there and
bodybuilding
say,
could have.
Super guy's jacked.
Bodybuilding could have gone into the Olympics.
He's doing those fucking flies. You know what I mean? Like, it's plus. That wouldn't be what requisite would that be? Because there's some bodybuilders who are jacked like motherfuckers who can't lift any heavy weights, and then there are some guys who are not even that.
You don't think that people would want to watch on NBC Sports Kai Green posing, on stage? In the finals of the Olympics.
We would.
Oh, come on! I don't think anyone out there would not want to see him.
Dave would be like, oh God, that's too much. But
people would watch it anyway because they want to see what the hell he's going to do next.
It's like a train wreck.
That's like a train wreck. Right. It's like why you stop at a car accident and there's a body on the road.
You wouldn't want to see like
guys like that fight.
Oksana Grishina on an Olympic.
Georgie.
He's gonna have
Nobody's
my
gonna
They're gonna be like they killed Gregg Valentino right on the show.
One of Aaron Tingelman's guys went in with a jiu-jitsu wrestler. It says big bodybuilder versus jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah, I've seen the same thing. I see girls, and I've seen my daughter has taken down guys. And she's my daughter's 5'2", maybe, you know what I mean? My daughter takes guys out. Those jiu-jitsu girls can take a fucking guy out.
Greg, you're like a guy with you're all over the place. How are you talking about your daughter now? We're talking about the Olympics.
I'm a rambling freak, bro. That's what I do.
That's right.
I'm a rambling freak, bro. That's what I do.
You know what the word fachada means? The Yiddish word fachada. We're getting all fachada.
Dave's the anabolic freak. He's over here trying to tell us, no, drugs are good. We got to use it. John's the voice of reason. Well, let's separate this now.
Ben Weeder should have gotten John and I and hired us to get.
George is the crazy Irishman. I don't care. Fuck them all up.
John, if you and I would have sat down with Ben Weeder, we could have strategized how to get bodybuilding into the Olympics.
But they didn't ask.
They didn't ask. No,
they didn't.
Listen, the only thing they might be able to get in the Olympics is I love the fitness girls. You ever watch their routines? They're gymnastic girls.
I just said that before. I just said that.
I know that.
I feel like I'm talking to my father now.
You think, no. But you think by getting them in, you'll get the guys in.
That you got to take one step at a time. One step at a time.
I don't know.
That's how everything gets done. You do it incrementally. You get the women in first.
I give girls like your wife.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it because she's your wife and maybe she's listening, but gymnast girls to me are the best athletes on the planet. Those girls are phenomenal athletes. Even guys, to do the shit that they can do is amazing.
Well, that's why I always say I don't know why they don't go to the ex-gymnast and try to recruit them into the fitness division. Give them like a second career almost, because the routine would be a piece of cake for them. It would just be having to get their bodies in shape,
I was good friends with Kim Klein, you know that, you know.
Well, that's why Kim was so good, because she
Kim was a gymnast.
Yeah.
Guy Sistinino's ex-wife there, Bethany, she's
Kelly
a great
Ryan
girl.
And Jen
Kelly
Hendershot.
Ryan. I knew Kelly Ryan. Shit.
Susan Curry.
Kelly
back in the 90s, there was some insane routines being done. Insane.
Oh, dude, they were great though. I used to sit and watch that shit, because to me that's like the Olympics. I love watching girls do floor exercise and everything. I love that, man. I think that's athletic. I don't think some fucking 300-pound bodybuilder who little Thug Rose, who weighs like 110, would fucking kick
We're back to Thug Rose again. Oh my God.
We made a complete circle.
We got to hook up Greg with Thug Rose.
Rambling freak, man.
John, I want you to reach out to Thug Rose and get her on the show so Greg could schmo out on her a little bit.
Right.
Oh, I love her. I live in the bathroom a week just to smell one of her farts. I'm convinced a cutie like that, when she takes a shit, it doesn't smell. It smells like fucking baked chocolate chip cookies or something like that, or fresh flowers. Somebody like her, she never had a booger in her nose. She's never thrown a fart. You know what I mean?
bet you
I
bet you, Greg, if you met her, she'd be like, Greg, can you pull my thumb, please? Pull my finger. Like your drunk uncle at the Christmas party.
Forget about it. I'm not in love with her like that. I just love her whole attitude and everything. But the thing is, we're getting back to the bodybuilding bullshit.
Tell your daughter, hold on, Greg. Tell your daughter to try to, maybe you could get your daughter a fight with Thug Rose, and then you could, she can make a name for herself if she knocks out Thug Rose.
My daughter's in a different weight class. Thug Rose would kick my daughter's ass right now.
Don't you say that. I'm sure your daughter, if she's listening, she's not going to be happy you're saying that. She's going to be like, fuck you, Dad. I can kick her ass.
That's why
she's badass.
Yeah.
She's trying to get on the police department right now. She's like, fuck that. I don't give a shit. I'm not afraid. She's going, she wants to get on either NYPD or whatever.
Why does she want to do that? Your cops can't do anything.
But you gotta understand, my daughter's a very she's good though. If you met her, she's like that.
Doesn't matter how good she is. If her hands are tied, her hands are tied.
Yeah, no chokehold.
But she wants to make a difference. She's smiling.
She's gonna make a difference.
She wants to make a living, Greg. I mean, John. That's what she wants to make a salary.
Well, that's the whole thing.
And that's important. Obviously, you got to be able to support yourself.
The policing is going to go away because it's going to be regulated out of existence.
No, you know what they want? They want a federal police that they can control, and it's governed. Whatever the government
they have it. It's called the National Guard.
No, they want the real federal.
Let's wrap this up.
In the town you live in.
I got to stop them when they start going on the political rants. Yeah. All right. I love you guys. Mr. G, any new cookies coming out or anything new we should expect from Mr. PottsProtein.net?
We got something really big happening in the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
Elite Priest cookie.
When are you moving to Florida already?
No.
Elite Priest cookie.
When are you moving to Florida?
Next 6 months.
Oh, now, John, you notice it's been getting delayed, like longer and longer. Originally, it was like next week, and now it's like 6 months, a year.
COVID.
No, I gotta stay here and train still at Nick Catone's.
Oh my God!
Okay.
So now he's canceled his whole business venture because he wants to train for MMA.
No, my
at 63 years old.
We bought a house in Boca.
But wait, you guys.
I'm sure there's MMA gyms down in Boca.
Yeah, but Dave, you guys got to still talk to Big Lenny. I don't think that this is going to happen. I think this is already gone out of his mind.
It's not out of my mind.
I know that. I know that.
That makes one of you.
I think it's good. I think it's good. I know I'm out of my mind.
You kind of need two people to fight. That's like the whole basis.
Well, he said he wanted to.
Look,
2 months ago.
Hold on, John. Big Lenny will never back down. All Mr. G has to do is call him out online. He'll have to fight him because he's not a cookie cutter.
Good.
Well, I already did. The Order 66 and the Maniacs thought they could ruin my business. They can never ruin my business, ever. I'm going to make the Order 66 into either Order 0 or Order Hero. That's their choice.
We should make them all poison cookies.
They all gave up. They gave up. No more. Where's all the messages? I told you guys.
Look, you know what? What you do have to do, George, is you have to set a date. Because if you don't set a date, see, this is what you do. You set the date. You and Lenny talk.
Dave,
what's the date? We talk. Your management talks to Lenny's management. You set the date. This way, if he backs out, now you win by default, and it doesn't even matter if you fight him or not. So
I'm working on a venue.
You need a fucking gym with a ring. That's all you need, George, and an iPhone. That's it.
An iPhone what?
I'm saying you could film it on an iPhone. You don't need a venue, is what I'm saying.
No, we need a place to fight, a cage.
There's plenty of cages, plenty of gyms everywhere. You know that. Come on.
Go to a gym.
I'm gonna, but they have to allow us to do it.
You need to set a date, George.
You have to have a referee, a doctor.
All right.
All these things set up.
That's logistics. Set the date. This way, if anyone backs out, if you back out, you lose. If he backs out, he loses.
All right, it's gonna be on a Sunday before Thanksgiving, because all these places that have MMA and have cages, they're not open on Sunday.
He sounds like he's in Giant Stadium right now with the echo in the back there. All right, I got to wrap this up. I love all you guys. MrProtein.net, MrPottsProtein.net is if you want to get your Jumbo Palumbo cookies. Greg, you're sending me those nootropics, and John
You should have them.
Gaspari
I'm gonna send the other
show
guys.
lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Fitness, Fame, and Fortune.
I know, Fitness,
Dragon
Fame, and
Slayer
Fortune, I'm
Media
sorry.
on YouTube.
On the YouTube channel, the Dragon Slayer Media. And as always, I got to figure out how many shows we've done. We've done a lot of shows, guys. We're probably well over 700 shows we've done, I think, over the years.
Probably.
I got to count them up. Everyone else has a number on this show. We never number everything because we got more than everyone. So.
Yep.
All right, I'm wrapping it up. Love you guys. I'm
Love you,
Dave
bro.
Palumbo with another edition of After Hours. We'll see you next week.
Woo! Dog Rose! Yeah, baby!